taking a critical look at the gaming news of the week. This is Augmented Reality, presented by the Triple S League.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Augmented Reality podcast for January 27th, 2021. My name is Ash, and I'm here with Subsidian as always. Good afternoon, sir. How are you?
Good. We've got a lot of news to hit today.
Yes, absolutely. There's a lot going on, so some exciting stuff. Knights of the Old Republic. Who called it? You guys did on one of our previous call-in shows. That we did a show asking what kinds of future Star Wars projects, non-EA Star Wars projects, would you like to see? And you, I'm sure a bunch of you said that. I know at least one of you did. So anyway, by the way, call-in show option today as well. If you have the desire to hop onto the show and tell us what you think about the upcoming KotOR project. Now, we'll get into more details about that in a minute. But yes, this is your source for news, leaks, and insights about games in the gaming industry. And if you're listening live, please do say hello in the live chat and send us your questions and comments there as well. We will try to get to as many of them as we can throughout the podcast. And don't forget to slam that like button. We really appreciate that. It tells us and YouTube that you appreciate this content. By the way, if you do want to call in for the live show, you have to go to our Discord server. Link's in the description if you're not on it already. Go to the waiting room. Let me get the exact name.
Yes, Moontag is in the waiting room, and she's going to be setting you up because we want to try and improve it a little bit more. So she's going to be over there today. We're experimenting with some new stuff. She's going to prep you to get into the call, and then you're going to hop in when you're basically ready to go. And that way, hopefully we've cut down on some of those mic issues we were having last few weeks and a lot of the delay and whatnot. So yeah, so all right. First thing we need to state very quickly before we get too much into the KotOR thing is that this is still very much in the rumor phase. None of this has been confirmed. None of this has been readied. This may be wishful thinking, and this may not be correct since none of the big names have really stuck their thumb on this. Nobody's guaranteed this. There still is a lot of investigating, a lot of looking around to do. But we're going to go through why. At least to me at the moment, it does appear as if we are seeing a little bit more of this coming to life, and I will go over the reasons as to why. Mm-hmm. So stay in for that.
The information is coming from multiple sources, apparently, according to Video Games Chronicle.
And again, we're gonna talk about that when I get to why we are putting some weight behind these rumors. But
okay.
I just need to. Yes, that's
do you want to just jump into that right now?
Okay, but before we get into that, we should also quickly mention again, because this story is kind of hot right now. We want to avoid getting too much into it, but the whole GameStop stock thing is still going on. Some very hot things have been happening in the last few days. If you are there, I know there's at least one or two people in our community have been kind of jumping in on this. I need to emphasize something really quickly here at the start of the show. Do not invest any money that you cannot afford to lose. That's your first stock trading tip right here. It's you do not invest in anything at a degree of risk that you cannot afford to lose. There's lots of things gold is the best example. Yeah, gold always retains its worth, quote unquote, but sometimes that worth fluctuates, and it's a good thing to just invest in generally if you just don't want your money to do much over a long period of time. But it's also something that can fluctuate quite highly, and again, it has its ups and downs just like everything else. This stock thing, who I believe I said this on Saturday, this may be illegal. And when I said that, I didn't mean that this is something that is, innately illegal for you or other people to take part in. What I meant to say, and I didn't clarify quite well enough on Saturday, is that this will definitely, if it hurts a bunch of very wealthy, powerful people, this will definitely become illegal, and anybody who has acted in it will definitely be branded as a criminal. So just be very careful with how you talk about this on social media and what you're doing. They have shut down, and they're attempting to shut down trading for a lot of these microsites for the next 30 days. And then during that time, I'm pretty sure we're going to see some financial things coming in. And like I said, if you're a crazy person, like a really deeply disturbed crazy person, and you show up and you off a whole bunch of people in a town just at random, they might give you the chair, or they'll throw you in prison for the rest of your life, but that's not guaranteed. No. If you want to end up in jail for the next 500 years, steal money from, fat cats. Take money from fat cats. Arrange
the best
to have
way to
disappear.
have you. Yeah, exactly.
That is the best way to end up in prison without the hope of even seeing the courtyard of that prison cell. It is the most guaranteed. That one of the most vile criminals Texas ever put away in jail was a guy who took money from rich people. He's in jail for like 800 some odd years, and he gets about 15 minutes a day outside. 15 minutes a day. The rest of the time he spends in a cell, in a triple blocked cell by himself, which is like, I mean, it's akin to human rights abuse to leave somebody in a cell for, without human interaction. So just be careful. I 100% agree that shorting stocks should be legal. That is probably one of the most deviously destructive things that fat cats do. And a cat who is really fat will be the majority of their stock is in short sales, where they're betting that you fail. Well, not you specifically, but they take money from other people, essentially. That's how that works. They don't generate. Shorting the stocks does nothing to generate income. It only takes income from other people, typically broad-based investors, and funnels it to a singular investor. It is disgusting. It's a terrible practice, but there was a lot of people popping into the chat the last few days to talk about it, and I just wanted to put that out there because it's probably going to be deemed as illegal, and there might be punishments for people who are helping to organize it. And this is, of course, a big sign that things are not going very well, and corrupt crony everything is now going to be the next big thing for the next little bit. So,
well, and I have to, yeah, it's a weird situation. I don't want to get into it, but when I heard about this, I was like, well, why if this is a viable strategy, why isn't it happening all the time? So there must be more to it. But anyway, just want to make a quick disclaimer. Neither Obsidian nor myself nor the Triple S League are recommending that you invest or not invest in any particular stock or investment. All right. Just getting that out of the way for legal clarity.
Yeah, for legal reasons. Oh, Lord.
All right. On to KotOR.
Yeah, so KotOR now. We're going to try and hit this fast and heavy, and then we'll hit a couple other news stories, and then we'll take the calls. So, first thing on the top is like how much do we know this is happening? And the answer to that is we know that this has been on the table as a option for quite a while. The creators of KotOR, the writers have put together multiple pieces that they pitched multiple times over to LucasArts at the time, and now Disney has a lot of those things. And Disney, as we've said before, is really, really hungry for money because apparently they've run out of it. So this is really, really the time where a lot of these projects that would never have happened 2 or 3 years ago are not only on the table, but they're being rushed through the gate as quickly as possible, because this is going to be huge for them. They are very, 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 very much needing this to work ASAP, 100% as quickly as it can. If they fail with this, they fail with generating large amounts of income over the next couple of months, they're going to be in even hotter water. And over the next few years, they're going to be like facing bankruptcy, or not necessarily maybe bankruptcy, but they're going to have to start selling off assets to cover themselves. Now, if they sold off Marvel, they probably recover all of their billions and probably set themselves up for a long time. But they don't want to do that. They definitely don't want to do that. The reason why they bought Marvel and Star Wars and all this other stuff was to control everything all at the same time. So they desperately do not want to do that. They're not going to disappear overnight. But as I've mentioned before, I think this is an old point, right? When a company that's a billion-dollar company, you know, people say, oh, they're too big to fail, or they're too big, you know, failure isn't possible with these big companies because they're just super huge, and they have so much money and they have so much worth, and you just can't get them down. No, really old listeners will remember this. The only thing it takes to sink $1 billion company is for them to have their income one year be $1 billion or $10 billion or $100 billion, and their deficit to be a 101. That's all it takes to sink them. The minute that you are generating less money and income than it takes to propel and keep your company running, the faster and in some cases really fast you will go down. So this is something that we know that this is going on. So that kind of sets the precedent of, is this possible? It's definitely possible. It's more possible now than it's ever been. We also know that Disney is making moves on the Star Wars IP, and one of the things that they got, or one of the things that they're getting right now, is the fact that they're getting this ability to basically, you know, green light these things for other developers. So how does that work? Could EA really lose this contract? If Disney tells them that they're going to lose that IP and lose that contract, there's not a whole lot that EA can do about it, especially when they're being told, like, hey, it's either this or you lose the whole contract. So they're like, hey, we need to borrow this IP. We're going to move it over here to this other studio. If Disney shows up and tells them that this is happening, it's probably going to happen. Now, EA could fight it, but by fighting it, they risk losing everything else. And what do they want? They want to control enough of this IP to generate income, but not enough of this IP to lose a bunch of stuff. So in this case, they're actually probably sitting there thinking, you know what? KotOR, the MMO, has been doing well because of, you know, just showing up on Steam. If this next IP, like if they make KotOR 3, then that might generate some more interest in people coming back to KotOR. So it's a win-win for them, especially if they're getting a little something out of it. So who's not getting something out of this? BioWare for sure, probably, like 100%. BioWare is not getting anything out of this. This is a really terrible thing for them, and they're losing, and this is why we've been worried that they've been losing for a long time. Now, so now that we've covered that, what other information do we have that this is kind of a more or less a thing? And that's going to be the number of people that this is coming from talking about it. No official sources, but a lot of secondary sources. A lot of people saying, yes, I've been hearing about this for a while. I've been hearing rumors about this for a little bit. Nothing major, nothing concrete. It's a lot of rumors. It's the same level of rumor, or it's the same rumors that I've been hearing for the last 8 years on this project. However, they've been coming in a lot more quicker now over the last couple of weeks. So that's actually a really good sign. And at first I didn't believe it because, you know, I didn't believe, I assumed that EA had to lose a license at some point, but now we're seeing that either they have lost the license or they will lose the license on the 10th year. And this game isn't designed to, you know, drop next week. It's designed to drop 2 or 3 years from now. So that's kind of the background for this. So, all right. What is responding to a couple of comments here. So what studio, you know, would take this? And we should get the first thing out of the way here is we're hearing this news about Ubisoft. Now, hold on.
Mm-hmm. Ubisoft. It was reported just recently that Ubisoft will be licensing.
Yeah,
they'll be doing a game. And
they're doing at least one.
You'll have to refresh my memory if it's confirmed that it would be like an open world type title, or if that was just the assumption.
Yeah, I suspect that it is. Sorry, I had to sneeze there, and it was like sitting on the tip of my nose for like a minute long. It was crazy. But yeah, no, there is this concept that Ubisoft is probably going to be doing an open world one because it's kind of what they excel at. Phoenix Immortal. I can't remember the name of that dang thing. The Immortals game that came out just recently that they did. It actually did surprisingly well. It did get kind of torpedoed by a couple other games that came out of nowhere and kind of blindsided it. Um, but it's a decent game. Like I've looked at it, it's decent. I don't have any like super desire to play it, but that could definitely have been like their kind of like field test for something making something a little bit more like teen friendly. So that may be what we're getting with Ubisoft with Star Wars. They might be making something geared a little bit more for kids. They might be making something that's geared a little bit more for adults. We don't really know, and we won't know for until they like show the game off a little bit. But what other studios could they be running with this, and what other kind of things can will KotOR 3 be on the list for Ubisoft to take over? The answer to that is no. I really don't think they're going to give it to Ubisoft here. Partially because of the rumors, partially because Ubisoft already has a big plate. I don't think they would be willing to take on two Star Wars games at the same time that are somewhat within the same genre type. Would kind of sort of make sense from one perspective, but wouldn't make sense for a company that's wanting to keep things like fairly evened out and wide open.
Aren't they working on like 17 Assassin's Creeds all at the same time?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So I kind of doubt it. There is the possibility that open world game that we have heard about from them is actually KotOR 3. So that is still a possibility. It could be that they're not working on a different Star Wars game. They are working on a KotOR game. And if that's the case, then that kind of answers that up a little bit.
Yeah. Now, as reportedly, one of the insiders that has broken this news, the Bespin Bulletin, reported that Jason Schreier of Bloomberg had also, suggested that this project was in development and was in development somewhere very unexpected.
Yeah.
And apparently we'll never guess what studio is made. That's reported by a source that Jason Schreier said this.
Now that comment may have been said before the announcement was made that Ubisoft was running, working on
before we even knew that EA would be losing losing their exclusivity.
Yes, and that's what he would have meant by nobody would have guessed it, because nobody up to that point, nobody would have guessed that, right? Up to that point. If that comment was made after the fact, which is what I think a lot of people are assuming, then that's where we can say that, all right, it's not going to Ubisoft for sure. So if it's not going to Ubisoft for sure because of that comment was made after the fact, after the announcement, if it was made pre-announcement, then it's still likely that that could definitely be Ubisoft. Ubisoft would definitely jump at this chance. They hit some hot water today, man. Oh boy, Ubisoft really put their foot in their mouth today. Really, like, I don't think the support is there for them. We put up a straw poll kind of on YouTube. We're going to start doing a little bit more of these things. And one of the responses that we got was, I put up BioWare, new studio, Ubisoft, Obsidian Entertainment, Activision, kind of covering all of the big, the big dogs, or the people that were, or Obsidian because it's now owned by Microsoft, so that's a big dog. And surprisingly, most people do not want, like Ubisoft got 6%, BioWare got 6%, BioWare or another EA studio. So the amount of support for them both there is ridiculously low. Activision only got like 4%, and that one I'm pretty positive Activision's not going to do that. They're kind of like in competition of a lot of it would not behoove their best interests to work with Disney at the moment. So yeah, that's kind of interesting that Ubisoft, Activision, and BioWare and EA basically got the same level of like support. Most people want want Obsidian Entertainment to run this, or they want a megacorp. And there's so many comments here that agree with this. We've got Ali Mahfouz said that Obsidian would be great, but he doesn't know if it would be too ambitious or if it's the right time to. Billy Bob, a whole bunch of other people in the chat. Eilinton Girl had a couple comments about she liked the fun choices for companions. And I picked Microsoft, so she's with the Microsoft Obsidian concept. There's a couple others they're definitely behind this. Um, a lot of other people like Time Bean and a couple others want they want it to go to a newer studio, somebody who's worked on it kind of like more recently. Um, there were a couple people pointing out Larian. I don't think Larian would be a fit just because they are just in the process of building their current game, Baldur's Gate 3, and they are going to be working on that for the next 2 years, most definitely for the next 2 years straight. They've had a lot of success with it, by the way. And another short little news skiff by Larian suffered from a flood. It is going to be delaying their next big patch, but their next big patch will be coming out soon. So when I said late January, I think I pretty much nailed that. Looks like it's going to be delayed maybe a week or two into February. But they started posting about that today, so that's great news for them. But yeah, Larian, I don't think, just due to what they're currently working on for a load, I don't think so, and I would not want them to rush to become a giant studio. I think that really hurt CDPR. The fact that they grew so much so very shortly, I think they needed to really like refine their core team and really make it run smoothly before attempting to grow as big as they did. I think that kind of hurt them, and that's not good. So yeah, that's kind of what's more or less is going on with the comments of like
one more bit of news to give some context to this. So there is Nate Najda, I'm probably pronouncing that name wrong, of Wushu Studio, who apparently knows who is developing the game and says that it's not as mysterious as you think. It's just not a household name most people are aware of. And that was a forum post made, in response to somebody asking on a forum, like, "Oh, I wonder who Jason Schreier is referring to." So more confirmation there.
Yeah, and really, we can say this is kind of confirmation because Star Wars games have a very big problem of not being able to be quiet. And I'm serious. It is really not likely for a Star Wars game to remain quiet because of the amount of just the sheer amount of people that just can't stop talking about it. KotOR, the MMO, the SWTOR game, was the worst kept secret everywhere, and everybody knew that they were working on it for a really, really, really long time. So, and it just didn't like follow through very well. So that this is kind of the same thing here, where it's like when people are talking about this game now, people were talking about this for years. They've been talking about KotOR 3 for the last like 15 years. It's been ridiculous, and they're going, "Oh yes, it's going to come. It's going to come. It's going to come," and it never came. And a lot of people very disappointed by this, me especially. But there's enough people now talking about it that it seems like this is definitely a thing. I don't think we're going to hear anything specifically about this probably for another year. I think it's going to be kept pretty quiet, although they might do an announcement probably maybe this summer. We'll see. But yeah, SWTOR is for what it is, it was decent. It wasn't the greatest thing ever. It was just decent, and I feel that they kind of ruined it. So I popped into it like last year at about this time. I popped into it, messed around with it, and basically like all of the interesting quests, the interesting side quests of like the deeper like stories where you got to know the locals of the game, those all got removed, like all of them, and now it's basically just like core story. That's it. There's no side quests. Really sad, but yeah, and I don't know, like I haven't been following the latest story. All I know is that they keep coming up with like villains of the month or year or whatever it is, and that. So yeah, yeah, I think that KotOR, if it's done right, would absolutely be amazing. On top of the fact that it would just be an amazing game, right? So if somebody made a game, it just wasn't Star Wars, but it had the same kind of like awesomeness to it, I think it would have been good. But I mean, just having that Star Wars name attached to it, especially with the possible resurgence that we're seeing under the under the Favreau group in the war for the soul of Star Wars right now. I think that group is quite possibly it has the possibility of rebuilding the story. It's quite interesting. They're talking about like the last three movies being basically put as non-canon. Like, and this is something that we're hearing more and more and more from people. Not that it's non-canon as in it didn't happen. It didn't happen the way that most people thought that it happened, because of this mysterious cloud caused by the Sith that were muddling things, so that things that were being said to have happened didn't really happen the way that they were reported to have happened.
Right. I want to bring up one other question here. Funky Moin in the chat just reminded me. I meant to bring this up earlier, but we don't know that this is KotOR 3 either, do we? Is this possible? We know it's a KotOR project. That's what the rumors are saying. Could it be a remake project?
It could be a total remake where they combine possibly elements from the first and second story into one giant story, and they tell a story that spans, the whole like decade and a bit. I think it was like 2 decades between the essentially between the events of the first and the events of the second one. That is possible as well. But I really don't know if people will like that. I really don't think people would like that. I think most people would find that very, very insulting.
I think people would prefer another game.
Possible. Yeah. Now, the Islandton girl is asking. I hope it's not something to do with the High Republic. The High Republic was a certain person at Lucas Arts that was attempting to replace and overtake the concept of the Old Republic. That's why they even named it that way. The High Republic. The High Republic is so much better than the Old Republic.
Oh, it's because that's what they were when they came. That's what they were when they came up with it.
Right. Exactly. So
skezzed out of their minds, to use the cyberpunk term.
So this is something that we don't know 100%, but I'm willing to bet that the High Republic is kind of dead in the water. Its sales for the first thing that they put out, it was abysmal. And again, people are not putting their money where their mouth is. The toys aren't selling. The concepts, the content, everything is just not flying. And again, as we talked about on Saturday, we can't just get like Kathleen's not going to just disappear. She's going to be in there for a very long time. And I think the case is that she's just too well connected to be removed. And because she is very, very, very well connected, from Wall Street to politicians, she's got connections in a lot of places and a lot of family in those places. So no, I don't think she's going away. I think we're going to have to deal with that kind of universe for a while yet. But money talks, and eventually some people are forced to admit that they were wrong. I don't know if that's what's going to happen here. So,
All right, we do have one person in the waiting room waiting to talk about this particular topic. So should we just take Tara K here quickly?
Yeah, sure.
Before we get on to the other topics?
Yeah, sure. We'll do that.
All right. So anyway, while we wait for him to be moved over here, you are listening to the Augmented Reality Podcast. We love seeing everybody active in the live chat. If you want to keep the conversation going after the live broadcast, we welcome you to join our Discord community. You can find the link in the description below. It's a place where you can chat with us and other Triple S League Legion members about all the things we love to talk about and stay up to date about everything we're doing here at the Triple S League. So click the link below to join. Be sure to say hi to us in the welcome channel. And I believe we have Terror K, one of our long-standing Discord community members and also a channel member here on YouTube. Hey, welcome to the show.
Hey, it's good to be here.
All right. I'm just going to turn you up a little bit. All right. So you wanted to share some thoughts about KotOR 3 or the KotOR project. All right. So what do you think?
I'll try and be succinct. I've got a lot of thoughts, but I'll try and just keep it quick. I voted like I did your sort of Cybes questionnaire. I want to go. I'm fully on board for a smaller studio to do this. Over like Obsidian, I felt has slipped a bit lately personally because they would be they would have been my choice like about 4 or 5 years ago. Although I don't know, perhaps with the new Microsoft backing, they might have a bigger budget than say with the Outer Worlds.
Oh yes, they have a much bigger budget there now. Yes,
but I do think that in recent times they have slipped a little bit into like social pandering, if you know what I mean.
Oh,
I don't think so. I don't think so.
Okay, I got a little bit of that from Outer Worlds personally, but yeah. But I think a smaller studio would be better. One I didn't mention that might, if they had a bigger budget, might have some hope is Spiders, who did Greedfall, because I felt most of their issues with prior games have come down to lack of budget, not lack of ambition. And I'm just curious to see what they could do with something with more budget and writing talent who know about Star Wars.
Having played,
I'd like to see. Oh, yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, no, I was gonna say, having played Greedfall quite a bit, I could see them probably doing a decent job of that. Greedfall did suffer from what were obviously some, it's a smaller studio, smaller budget, so there was, the game had some issues, but at its core, like the core stuff was all there and was a very enjoyable experience.
Yeah. And again, a lot of the times is like these games are an introduction into like, hey, this is what we can do. We can triple this quality if we get double the budget, kind of thing. And so that may very well might be. I don't know if that particular studio, but there's probably a number of studios that are within that range that have hit that. So one of the things that we've heard is that, oh yeah, it's a studio that's been around for a bit. It's just nobody really knows too much about them. So that might be really interesting.
I'd also like to see Drew Karpyshyn back, if possible, as a lead writer. He's really good.
Drew has been doing a lot of stuff in the last little bit. He's basically freelance right now. So is Chris. They've both been very freelance, working on a bunch of different stuff. They're all they do is like pump out scripts nonstop, like not scripts, but like the story scripts, because they're not a script like you would give to a movie director. It's a game script, which is quite a bit different. But yeah, both of them have been working basically nonstop from what I've heard. So that's a good sign in that they've got a lot of content coming. So in some kind of game. So we'll see where that goes, because yeah, it's again, they're both looking really solid, and I would hope that both of them would be involved in this project, because they both need to be involved in this project if it's going to have any like good weight. It's either that or Favreau is going to have to at this point he's burning candle from both ends doing all the stuff that he's doing. But labor of love, maybe that's worth it. So I don't know, we'll see.
And probably my last major point would be I'd like to see this is something that discussion in your little sort of topic and poll you created sort of brought up. So I'd like to see them explore in this game perhaps the Force outside of the two major factions, because we kind of got to see in the original game, we got to see both sides, and then like Kreia introduced a little bit of nuance in the second one, like what it means to, like, you can help people too much as a Jedi and they become self-dependent on you, things like that. And explore the dark side as well. So I'd like to see.
Yeah, you're not the only one who's thought of this and has brought this up, that they really do need to cover more of what's going on with the Force, and there is definitely like more options. And I said this in response to one of the posts yesterday. I really think that they need to really open up the door and showcase us more different aspects of the Force. I have a hard time believing that it's just so like cut and dry, black and white, which is then also spun in like, but you have to have these two polar opposites. It's like, but do we really like there is more to it than just that. Like the life that the Jedi live is quite brutal. Like no family, no connections. You can't you can't pick a hobby and enjoy something because it might turn you to the dark side. You can't you can't go hang out at the club and hope to have some interactive times, and that's how it was before. And that's what Anakin and the Force, like, really, when you look at it, the original like concept to where they went with what is now the Legends material, which is the stupidest thing anybody's ever done. That's where they were going. That's why Jedi that were trained under Luke Skywalker after the whole, like, after the destruction of the Empire, that's why some of those light Jedi could use lightning powers, and why others could, because it brought this balance where like more things were able to flow in and out, and you could go a little bit this way and go a little bit that way. You weren't just you weren't just some, like, those rare earth magnets, the super strong ones that they really hurt if you put your finger in between two of those things. It can cause some serious damage. You might lose a finger depending on the weight and power of some of these magnets. But it's like I've always felt that it was kind of like that. You pour these magnets into a tumbler basically, and they don't they just immediately go to one side. Like, there's no ifs, ands, or buts. They just immediately get sucked in and go one direction, and that was it.
It'd be like saying, like, it's like a good Jedi can't use a red lightsaber. I mean,
yeah, it's like,
why?
It's like, well, maybe the red is there for passion. Maybe they have, and where is the passion?
But passion leads to the dark side.
Yeah, but yeah, apparently passion leads. It's like, I don't believe that, and I think the original story that they were wanting to go with, the one that George Lucas pitched, was going to be all about this Twi'lek, the red-skinned Twi'lek girl, who everybody loves, and because she just because she's that one. Yeah, that one. The story was going to revolve around her for this next couple of movies, and with her interaction. And so the movie was going to follow basically this dark side character as they were fighting, Luke and Leia and Solo's kids and all this, and it was going to be big and epic, and it was going to go that direction. Instead, they went with this other retarded, stupid direction. Was like, wow, you really have no idea how to write, period. And it was just garbage. And it's like, all right, so I think we need to kind of like lean into that. So, Funky puts a good point about the philosophy that's behind it. And I kind of agree that there's a lot of room to grow there. And I really wish that they could have the ability to kind of swing back to this and like take a breath and like give us some more of this stuff. And I think exploring that stuff in the old Republic would be a great place for it, because then we can see how that got whittled down to this, separated, like, two forces that didn't make any sense whatsoever, and just kind of like sat there. So yeah, I think that's I think and I hope that that's where they can go with this, and I would really, really like it if they did a good job with that kind of thing. Again, I am really worried about the story. I don't know how far it's going to go or what's going to get picked up by it. I really don't, and I do worry. But yeah.
Okay, well, thank you, Tara.
Yep. Just one final point before I go. I am glad that BioWare does not have this in their current state.
Well, there you go.
Yeah, their current state, it's kind of a mess.
Yeah. Cool. Thanks, guys.
Yeah, thanks for the thoughts. Thanks for joining. Got some other comments here. PL says Larian Studios or Obsidian would be my choice, and I like Shua's idea. Let's get ID to do, or id. Sorry, everyone gives me a hell of a time. It's because when I was a kid, I didn't know what an id was, and so I always just read it as ID Software, and that's just stuck with me. id Software. Let's give it to id. Give the Doomslayer a lightsaber. I'd pay money to see that, he says. Yes, I'm with you. I mean, I'm not entirely serious. But to have that kind of... If they found a way to merge that kind of frenetic combat with a good RPG... Yeah,
I really hope that they stick with the traditional, like, role play elements of the gameplay. Like, really, really needs to... Like, I'm not opposed to, like, something that's a little bit more fast-moving, but it's like you have got to, like... You have got to not, like, just turn this into another, like... arcade slasher. Like I can't like no please
well,
no.
yeah, I agreed there. Like, do a good job. Do make it a worthy successor to the original KotORs, and everyone will be happy. You'll make a lot of money if you do that. Whatever studios out there, if you happen to be listening.
I really got to say that in KotOR 2, the combat was way more like it was way better than the first one. Like the first one was very like it was a lot slower. It was a little bit more janky. It was definitely like you could kind of see like you see some of the NPCs taking turns and that kind of thing. It's like it was a faster process, but I think again I'm pretty sure that the second one was way better, and I think it's got room to grow. And I'm hoping that genre can continue to grow because I don't know. Personally, for me, I like when I'm playing a game, pausing in the middle of combat is not only a nice thing that's handy for you, but it also allows you to be more methodical about the game in and of itself. So I don't know. Fingers crossed for that. I really hope they don't mess that up.
Okay. On to a couple other topics for the day, a little bit of Cyberpunk news, and then we'll get into some real-life Cyberpunk stuff that's happening because these corporate billionaires keep trying to one-up each other on who's going to bring about the Cyberpunk dystopia faster, I think. But anyway, official mod support has been released for Cyberpunk 2077. Yep. This is really good. We've been looking forward to this. This could really improve the game in a lot of ways. And
it's not everything we want.
No.
We need to make that clear. This is not a mega modding kit. This is not the direct modding tools that comes with the game. These are a selection of 4 tools so it includes the metadata and a tool for that. It includes the archive dump and a tool for that. Includes the tweak dump and a tool for that. And it also includes the tweak DB IDs, and that's just a text file. This is huge in the sense of like what modders need. This is a huge thing for the modders. This is going to allow most mods to start working twice as good as they currently are. This will not allow us to immediately start adding in like brand new animations and stuff like that. Like that's still a little bit further away. There was the mod that came out that turned the Atom Smasher into one of the Joy girls or Joy boys.
The Joy toy into Atom Smasher or vice versa.
It basically just made one of the Joy toys, gave them a skin of Atom Smasher. So it wasn't.
Smasher. I was going to bring this up because as a kind of an adjacent topic, So people have been doing this. They've been turning the Joy toys in the game into other characters to experience those delightfully not at all awkward first person scenes with them. And
incredibly awkward. Oh
somebody did one with Johnny Silverhand, and CD Projekt Red actually shut the mod down.
Yeah. I don't know if I agree with that. Like in modding, you're just gonna have like this is just. I mean, you're gonna have floating unicorns and Thomas the Tank guns and Thomas the Train guns and a bunch of other stuff. I don't know if trying to shut that down is the best way to go around it.
It's
just because.
I mean, there's that effect of where you try to suppress it, people just want it more.
Yeah,
I guarantee there's going to be like 10. They took this one away. There's going to be 10 more that replace it now.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, it's bad from that point of view, but it was specifically because it's Keanu Reeves' image. They say, for the characters we've invented for the game, we broadly permit you to tweak the game at will and just have fun. When it comes to models of real people whom we've asked to participate in the game, we kindly ask you to refrain from using them in any situation that might be found offensive if you don't have their explicit permission. Good luck. Seriously.
Good luck. I mean, I agree with this on principle, right? Like, I think that an actor like that's getting body scanned into the game, and you being able to do really weird things with them. It's the same thing with like tweaking their voice to make them say like, things that are not, nice for like, polite company. Again, while it's essentially it is free, free speech, and you being able to tweak the game in whatever way that you want to, um, I don't think that I don't think that I don't think it's smart for them to try to restrict it. I do think that it is okay for them to politely ask that you don't do that with certain characters, and that those certain characters are off limits, kind of in the way that I don't think you should. I'm the type of person who has never downloaded a mod for killing children in Skyrim. Out of all the mods that I install, killing kids is never a mod that I've actively downloaded to install because I just don't like that. I just don't think that it deserves to be in a game. Now, there are other things where it's like it can remove them and that kind of stuff, and like, by all means, like go nuts. But I do worry about the precedent that this is trying to set and where they may be going with this, as far as like not being able to control it down the road, and in hopefully trying to kind of prevent that stuff from taking root. And it will be, because one of the things that it will do is that at some point it will just scare away like top talent from games. So maybe that's a good thing, maybe that's a bad thing.
Well, I feel like
I can't really tell you. I can tell you that Christopher Judd is an amazing actor. He's awesome, and I want him in more stuff because he's amazing. He's a great character. That's the guy who plays Kratos, for those who were wondering. I really like him as an actor. I've met him on multiple occasions, and he is a very fun, very honest guy. Speaking of which, Jeremy Lee.
Jeremy
Lee. No, I'm pretty sure it's. Oh, anyways, she did the voice work for Female V, and this is somebody again who like I have a lot of respect for, and it's not fun when people take their voices and cut them together to say things that are implicitly not cool, in the sense of like, again, polite company, right? Cutting them into, and we've done this for we did this for the Fallout 4 mod, where we changed the ending considerably. We took the voice actors' lines and we cut them and re-edited them together to come up with new dialogue to finish off quests that were left undone. And those we did, of course, very respectfully and in the bounds of the rules. So yeah, I think it's great. I think that kind of a concept is great. This, again, good luck to you. I wouldn't have done that. I would have maybe just put a statement asking, and then maybe talking to some of the sites that host this stuff and saying, please don't, or maybe doing it with what they did with some of the music, right? Saying like, this is, and maybe this is the best thing that they have done, and maybe this is essentially what they have done is they've said this music, is for streaming and whatever, and you can do that just fine. And then this other stuff, this is obviously like more protected, and this is for other stuff. Please don't use this kind of stuff because it involves and carries the rights to somebody else in a different way. So that's kind of the thing.
But I mean, they can ask for that, but I don't think, unless if they're going to allow modding, they're going to allow modding. I mean, someone could make their own. I mean, really, again, the precedent, like you talked about. I mean, someone could make their own model of any celebrity out there, and now CDPR is going to have to either to be consistent. They're going to have to shut that down. Although this was probably more to protect their professional relationship with Keanu Reeves, I would imagine.
Yeah.
Unless, I don't know if his people were like, no, shut this down or what. But it's like, it's messy. I get, an actor wanting to be in something and then not wanting to have their image used in this kind of way. I get that. But at the same time, I mean, we live in the real world, and if you can portray a character in a movie and then somebody creates like an animated fan fiction Rule 34 version of that, or just a written fan fiction, or does a fan art of you in a lewd situation as that character, I mean, what are you going to do?
Yeah.
It's just not. You either believe in free expression or you don't. And so, while I definitely understand it from that side, I don't think there's any consistency in them actually coming and turning, and shutting this mod down. I think that's an inconsistent stance to take. By the way, speaking of Jeremy Lee, here's an audio clip from when we met her a couple years ago.
Hey, it's Jeremy Lee, and you are watching my favorite channel on YouTube, the Triple S League. Enjoy, guys.
Oh, thank you so much, Jeremy. I hope we're still her favorite channel on YouTube. We totally, did not ask her to say that or anything. So,
I have to say that out of all of the actors and people that I've met, there's a couple that stand out. I can't remember one of them. He's kind of like this. He's this lesser well-known character from Star Trek. A lot of Star Trek people very good, like from the old series, like Voyager, DS9, and the original series. Like they're all very nice to talk to. But she is Voice of E is probably one of the most kind-hearted people I have ever met, and I have seen her deal with some very difficult to deal with people at conventions on more than one occasion. I have seen her really deal with people that are clearly not that most other people would struggle dealing with. You know what I'm saying? It's like the people who are not they're not well spoken. They don't really know how to communicate very well at all, and they can get kind of crazy from time to time. I have seen her deal with those people. I have in no other profession have I seen somebody deal with somebody at that level of quality. So again, big fan of hers, lots of respect. And I do think that these kinds of people should be asserted some level of respect by modders. But again, it's kind of one of those things. It's like Rule 34. It's kind of like, well, I mean, how? Like how are you going to like how, right? Like it's part of the catch-22, right? And really that basically comes down to just if you build a good enough community and you say, hey community, can we please not do X, you'll be surprised at how much more of a benefit you get with that. So yeah
all right,
so
got to get into our last topic here. So
quickly, we had a super chat from Max Durrett.
Oh yes, yeah, Max. Max, thank you.
Christopher Judd, you lucky B word. And I gotta say, yeah. So he's he does do a fair number of conventions, so it's not hard to kind of see him. But he's a really friendly guy and very honest type person. Like he doesn't, some actors, they're a little on the fake side. Right? They're fake, right? Like, but he's not fake. The guy's great.
Mm-hmm. All right. So, on a recent show, I believe it was the last show we did, we talked about Microsoft's new endeavor that they patented to resurrect dead people as virtual avatars, which is creepy enough as it is. But now it seems, I thought the mega corporations that are more powerful than small countries or medium-sized countries, or even large countries, was Cyberpunk enough. Then Microsoft came along with that. Now Gabe Newell, founder of Valve, is exploring the possibility of brain-computer interfaces for the future of gaming, not just as reading data from your mind or using a direct brain-to-computer interface as a control. A method of controlling the game, but no, he wants to interface with the brain and input signals that actually replace and improve on reality. He wants to go full brain dance, basically, is what I take from this. And so he not
brain dance. He wants to go. It's called full dive. So full dive is basically like you get put into the game.
Yeah, so but it's beyond that though. It's beyond even that. He wants to connect to like the visual cortex and input, so to create visuals in your brain that are superior to real life, i.e. like higher resolution. I don't know if he thinks he can invent new colors. I don't know what that means.
Well, so one of the things that this shows is that Gabe is actually really on point. So he's clearly been talking to a lot of very connected people who have very, very good skills at this kind of thing. I'm talking like he is top tier talking about this kind of stuff. Like this is no slouch. So he's talking about stuff that I'm aware of, and I'm surprised that he's aware of it. So one of the things that he's mentioning with the brain input control interface is that, and during this interview, he talks about how if you have your eye removed because of an accident or some kind of cancer or something like that, you're kind of foobarred. Like you're screwed in the world of like being able to see again. It's just not possible with any level of technology. What he wants to do is he wants to create, and where he thinks that science is headed, and I can confirm that this is something that's actively being researched, is they want to essentially put images right into your mind. And so one of the things that this would do for blind people is it would actually give them the ability to see as the computer can create a virtual reality of the world around them in a constant state. So
you'd have to have some kind of external sensor, but
yes, you'd have to have a camera set up for that particular setup. Now, obviously, when you're doing like
for a video game, obviously, yeah,
for a video game,
it's stuff that's generated by a computer,
yeah.
But
right, it's different. But that's where he's getting that from, is from work that they're doing with that. And he also talks a little bit, and he's talked about this before, how like they want a brain interface control device. So like, instead of using a mouse, you control the mouse with your mind by just putting a clip on your ear, and you're just like controlling the mouse with thought. Like, I want the mouse to go and click that button, then I want to click that button, and then I want to hit play on my music video. Then, and so that way it's not an actual mouse, floating across the screen. You're just telling programs to do certain things and to pull certain things up. And you have to be careful with that, because your mind might say, "Hey, I got this all this prawn. You ordered an extra helping of prawn from the east side. We've got a big truckload of it here. 40,000 videos. It's all being directed." And you're like, no. I'm in the middle of a business presentation. What are you doing? Well, your brain thought of this. This is what you wanted, right?
Oh yeah, this is sounding like a great future. Just want to read a quick quote from him before we have to wrap up here. Sure. So he says, Newell believes you can edit visual stimuli. This I'm reading from PC Gamer right now. Newell believes you can edit visual stimuli to appear at a higher level of fidelity and immersion. Quote, "The real world will stop being the metric that we apply to the best possible visual fidelity, and instead it's like the real world will seem flat, colorless, blurry, compared to the experiences you'll be able to create in people's brains."
Yeah.
And that's not even the weirdest bit. Newell believes that human beings themselves may be editable using a BCI, which I believe stands for brain-computer interface. Once you start editing, you start having these feed-forward and feedback loops in terms of who you want to be, which is a weird thing to talk about. That is his quote.
So I've got to say that actually, it was Shu and I were talking about this in the Discord just the other day, that there's a process and a thing that can happen with full dive and full suspension, virtual reality, that most people don't realize is a thing. And once you hit this problem, you have got a serious problem.
Terror K with the super chat.
Get yourself some prawns, winky face.
Prawns, yummy. Well, I mean, if Beautiful. This is possible, what Gabe is talking about, and it's a big if. I mean, there's a lot of questions there about. I mean, you kind of have to assume that the brain is capable of perceiving things beyond, that's actually our senses that are limiting us, not the brain. There's a lot of questions to be answered there, but if this is possible, I hope I'm long dead when it actually becomes a thing. Like, stop the ride now. I just want to get off. I'm too old to be. I'm too young to be seeing a cyberpunk future already happening. Come on now. This was supposed to be like 50 years off, not like now.
Well,
raising kids and
why do you think I showed up at this time? Okay, two quick fire things. Golem, Lord of the Rings has been delayed to 2022, and a new season, the first season pass for Sea of Thieves has just started. So two bits of news that I think our community kind of wanted to hear about. So Golem, Lord of the Rings game, was looking is looking pretty decent, but it has been delayed a full year. And then Sea of Thieves has got a bunch of new content planned over this summer, so that game might be big again. I know we have a lot of people who play it in the community. Definitely something to keep your eye on. I don't know how the season pass is going to work. In the comments, please let us know in the comments post-show what you think about the season pass. Is this something that you're excited about, or are you kind of like, oh, I don't know if I want to do money at it now? So, yeah.
All right. And with that, we will wrap up the show for today. So thank you so much, everybody, for the great conversation in the live chat. Thank you for supporting the show by listening live or after the fact. Don't forget to slam that like button before you leave. And I want to give a special thanks to our Patreon supporters and channel members who helped to make this content possible. Robin, Shua, Timebean, Schoolaman, Lady Reaver, Dracoden, Niv212, and Atomic Stew on Patreon. Jer Schultz, Game Notes, and Tara K, our channel members. Thank you so much. This show is a presentation of the Triple S League. Check out our YouTube channel for game guides, reviews, comedy, news updates, and tons more quality gaming content. My name is Ash on behalf of Cyb. Thank you so much for listening, and Moontag helping us out behind the scenes today. Thank you very much, and we will talk to you again very soon.